storyteller, understand that hunger feels different depending on where you are and who you're with. Please help me in welcoming Amina Darwish.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. So, I should probably tell you what that means. The verse that I just read is, I actually just read a verse from the Quran, and it's the verse that talks about fasting. And what it says, "O you who believe, fasting has been made mandatory on you, as it has been made mandatory on the people before you, so that you be more aware of God." And it kind of means the Abrahamic traditions before. So the Christians and the Jews each have their own different form of fast, and then depending on the sect, it's a little different. But if you read through history, there's also stories of like Buddha was fasting and he reached this higher state of enlightenment and all these different things. So really the point of fasting is sacrificing something for a higher purpose. And if you're Muslim, you fast sunrise to sunset, and you fast from food and water and sex during the daylight hours. Most Muslims will just tell you food and water. I guess they assume. My assumption is they assume if you have a job, you're not doing that during the day. But, okay, anyways. So really, the goal is, if I can give up all my bodily needs, like if I can give up my food and water for something I believe in, I can do anything. And that's one idea, and then the other idea is really all the religions in the world, their goal should be feeding the poor and helping those in need. And you really feel hunger when you do it. And that's one of the other goals. So if you're a practicing Muslim, you fast for an entire month. It's called the month of Ramadan, and it comes in 1 month every year. And what's fascinating about it is you're doing it with approximately 1.5 billion people around the world. It's about 1/4 of the world. And everyone's fasting at the same time. So the idea of fasting isn't just you fasting, it's also fasting with a larger group and a larger community. And so my oldest memory of fasting Ramadan was, I was 5 years old, and my mom grew up in Egypt, and when she had Ramadan was in the air, like, because everyone's fasting, and everyone's celebrating it together. And she really wanted us to have that feeling. So I remember being 5 years old, and the house is decorated, and everything is pretty, and there's colorful balloons everywhere, and every memory that I have of it is like very, very happy. And I'm of course 5, so I'm not fasting sunrise to sunset. I fasted till noon, and it was like, yeah, I did it. It was such an achievement. But as a child, it meant a lot. And then fast forwarding my life, later in my life, I actually ended up moving to Kuwait. So I grew up in Maryland, and I moved to Kuwait, and I got off the plane, and all the men are wearing these long white robes, and it was such a culture shock. Like, the guys are wearing weird dresses. What's up with this? It looked so funny, and it's this desert, and there isn't green anywhere, and it was just such a culture shock. And I went to Kuwait University. My dad helped found the College of Engineering there, so it was free if I went to Kuwait University. It was about a 10-minute discussion. Anyways, I went to Kuwait University, and the first day I walked into class, and all the girls sat on one side, and all the boys sat on the other, and I kind of walked in, and like, I guess I'm sitting here. Like, it was such a different culture to me. And I was always the American kid, no matter what I did, because I was carrying my backpack and you could see me across campus. And anyone else that was wearing a backpack on Kuwait University's campus, there was about 10 of us, and we all knew each other, and we were all friends. We were all the American kids. And I guess it just kept reinforcing as part of my identity. I was the American kid, except during Ramadan. Because everyone else was Muslim, and I was Muslim too, and we were all celebrating it together, that feeling that I didn't belong just went away. And I get to campus, and everyone's fasting. Everyone's doing it together, and it was so awesome. Everyone's having the spiritual experience together. And then at the end of the day, because it's such a big celebration, you have all your family gets together and all your friends are there and everyone's breaking their fast and these huge communal dinners, and it's like Thanksgiving dinner for 30 days straight. It's genius. That they really, and it's awesome. And then the other thing that you would do during Ramadan, so all day you're fasting and trying to hold back. So you're trying to, if I can give up food and water, I can give up my grudge, I can give up any negativity that I have. And then at night, what you're doing is you're trying to fill it up with things that are good in this spirituality. So part of what we do is there's nightly prayers. After you break the fast, everyone goes together to the mosque and they pray. And every neighborhood in Kuwait has like a central mosque where everybody goes to pray. So you go and all the neighbors are there and they've been fasting all day, so everybody's handing out dessert and it's the spirit of generosity and spirit of sharing and all these different things, and it's awesome. And then the Muslim prayer, the way that it works is you have one person leading the prayer, and what they're doing is they're reciting the Quran. So kind of what I did, except they're going through the entire book from the beginning of Ramadan till the end of Ramadan. And it's beautiful, and they pick the person with the best voice. And they're reciting it, and everyone's listening, and besides that person that's reciting, you can hear a pin drop. It's so quiet, because everybody's listening and thinking about the verses and contemplating all these beautiful meanings. And then what he would do is he would say, Allahu Akbar, and then Allahu Akbar means God is great, and it implies that you're going to the next step in the prayer. So he would say Allahu Akbar, and he would bow. And then you would see the entire congregation, like hundreds of people, they all bow together. It's like the human domino effect. He just says one word, and everyone bows. And then he says Allahu Akbar, and everybody stands up again. And then he says Allahu Akbar one more time, and everyone puts their face to the ground. You put your face, your hands, knees and toes to the ground. And rich, poor, young, old, you're all standing in rows, and it's very equalizing of everyone's praying to God together. And it's really awesome. And then towards the end of Ramadan, it ramps up. So there's like the last 10 days, instead of going to the neighborhood mosque, we go to the central mosque in Kuwait. It fits about 100 people, which is half of the people in Kuwait. It's a huge mosque. Kuwait's not very big. It's about the size of Connecticut. It's not very big. But you go, and it's everyone I know from campus is there. All the neighbors are there. Everyone that I've met at the supermarket is there. And it's so awesome. And the other awesome thing is you have the best reciter, like the best reciter in the country, and they're taking turns, and every time you get a new one, it's like they're debuting a new reciter, and he sounds awesome. It's like, you wouldn't think of American Idol reading Quran, but it's, Kuwait, this is what they do. They have this person reciting Quran. And every year, for the 4 years that I was doing my undergrad, I felt like I belonged in a moment, and I loved it. Fast forward my life a little more, I finished my undergrad, I got married, I was sitting in the audience, I shouldn't have we moved here, we got married, and then we both moved here for grad school, and we were both in the PhD program. I got to campus, we moved here 2 weeks before Ramadan started, in 2006. So we came here, my first day of Ramadan, I thought, it's okay, I'll go to the mosque, it'll all be awesome again, and everything will be fine. And I get to campus, and everyone's drinking coffee. And coffee is my nemesis. I'm sitting there in class, and the guy sitting next to me, I'm really having these thoughts of, I wonder I can distract him and steal his coffee. Bad, I'm screwing this up. Like, I felt like I was the only Muslim in the world sitting in that class, and I was like, I need to find more people. Like, I don't know what to do. And then I went home, and my husband and I had boxed mac and cheese and frozen chicken nuggets to break our fast on, and I was sitting there like, wow, how far I have fallen. I would have had this great dinner. What did I do? And we broke our fast, and we're like, it's okay, we'll survive this. I get to school the next day, and I'm like, great, 30 days of this. And I get to school, and then I hear someone calling behind me, and they're like, Salaam alaikum! It's the Muslim greeting, and it means peace be unto you. And I turn around, I'm like I'm so excited, and this guy runs up to me, and he's like, hi, I'm Brother Mike. And I'm like, hi, Brother Mike. Like, I've never been so happy with someone before. And he's like, how's your fast? I'm like, that's awesome. And really, it's not, but I was just so fasting, and I thought, I'm totally going to see Brother Mike at the mosque, and this is going to be great, he's going to be my friend, blah, blah, blah. And I actually never ended up seeing him again, but I feel like God put him in my way that day just because I needed it. I needed someone to be there. And I went home and I told my husband we're breaking our fast. I'm like, I met Brother Mike today, and it was like the greatest thing ever. It was like the greatest thing that happened to me that day. And since that day, I remember we talked about it. It's like, okay, we found one. Now we need to find more. Find more of the Muslims. And in the last 5 years, or 6 years since 5 years. Sorry, I'm an engineer, I really should count. But in the last 5 years since we've been here, like really that was the goal of I feel like all the community building that we were doing is we lost that sense of community, and it's like, no, I know what it feels like to have a community that cares about you. I know what it feels like to have people around you, to have all of this stuff with all of you to have a common goal. And I feel like the last 5 years have been the two of us trying to build community together. And during those 5, I'm actually now the youngest woman to have ever been elected to the board of our mosque. And it wasn't just that. Like now, if you're Muslim and you live in Clifton, chances are I know who you are. And if I don't know your name, it's something that I feel needs fixing. And it's something that I will be like, who are you? What's going on? And just I feel like that is the goal of my life. This is what God gave me, the ability to feel that sense of community and try to build it again. And try to build bridges with all these different groups of people. And really, that's what I feel the goal of Ramadan is. That yes, you're fasting, and you're feeling for the poor, but it's also seeing people's humanity and coming together on that. So we do that. The other thing that we do is we're also the mosque decorating committee. So every Ramadan, if you ever walk into the mosque the first day of Ramadan, you will see colors everywhere. Yesterday was another big celebration, so we woke up at 6 in the morning and made 300 balloons. But at the same time, my goal is I have that happy, and I feel like every child that walks into the mosque, every person that walks into the mosque, I want them to feel what I felt when I was 5, that happy. Thank you.